So, last time we got together, we talked about the treatment goal of talking about family members and developing closer relationships with some of your family members, specifically for one of your aunts,
Yes.
between you and she. So, why don't you tell me a little bit more about that, please?
Okay. My mother had three sisters. Okay, and one died. There were two, but there's this particular aunt that I have a challenge with, based on what I'd experienced in the past, where if I would go to my aunt and talk to her about anything pertaining to my mother, she would um, get information back to my mother, and my mother in turn would treat me terribly because she figured that I should not have said what I said to her sister.
So there was a lack of confidentiality,
Lack of
that you had
confidentiality.
assumed.
Yes,
I
yes.
see.
And based on that, I decided that I had to make a choice between my mother and my aunt.
Wow. So you felt like you had to make a choice, that you
Yes.
couldn't have both relationships?
Right.
No. So that's pretty significant.
Yes, it is. Because if I continued to talk with my aunt when she called me, I believe that anything I said to her, she would have turned it in a wrong way. And talking to my mother about it, it would have been detrimental to my relationship with my mother. And my thought is that it's best for me to maintain a relationship with my mother than to have something going with her. So I just let it go. I moved away from it.
Sounds like that was pretty painful.
It is, it was, it has been, but it's a decision that I think I definitely had to make, and I decided to live with the consequences of it.
So you're still living with the consequences of that.
In a sense, yes, because I do not communicate with her as much as I would have wanted to. She has not reached out to me, and I have not reached out to her much. What I try to do is not to have her in my heart to say, oh, I have some kind of a negative thing in my heart towards her. It's just that I kind of block it out to say, life goes on. I'm a big girl. She's a big person. Life goes on. We have all different things that we have to pursue. So good.
And I find it interesting that out of all the relatives that you have, when you wanted to make a goal for today in working with a treatment plan and how to make connections with family members, you chose your aunt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any thoughts about how you might go about doing that?
I want to be able to have that willpower to maybe call her and then have the assurance that she'll talk with me and talk with me in a truthful way,
Mm-hmm.
being authentic with me. Um, my mother died, so at least she's no longer around. But the fact is that we still don't have that relationship that we can have.
So, you think that you can give her a call?
Yes, but I want to make sure that I feel it in my spirit that things will work out fine. I'm not in there yet. I just blocked it out. So I want to maybe revisit it and say, okay, maybe I need to call, talk with her. But just that fear of her wanting to say other things that I did not say.
Okay. Well, I just commend you for doing that, for thinking about that, for stepping forward in your mind about how to go about that.
Yes.
And so I was just wondering, what are some of those practical steps that you could take? I mean, is there a season that you want to do this in? Is there a timeline? Is there a time that's better than another?
Maybe before the end of the year,
Okay.
considering that we're coming to the end of it. It's going to be a new year next year if we are around. I want to make sure that I do not have any baggage of that nature to take with me in the new year.
So you're looking at the new year as something brand new,
Yes.
no baggage. You're going to take the step to give her a call. Okay. And so I I wonder if there are any other parts to that goal setting process that you could take.
That's why I'm here. Anytime.
Okay.
I remember I used to have a good relationship with her many years ago. But things began to change when my mother started telling her things about me that were really not so. For example, when I wanted to go to Bible school, instead of going to Canada, she wanted me to. It became a problem, and so she would coerce with them about it. So they turned, some of the family members turned their, including her, turned their backs on me because I was going to Bible school instead of going to Canada or doing something else that they would have wanted me to do. And so the relationship um, became broken based on my mother's action towards me.
Okay, so just to clarify that a little bit, so your mother wanted you to go to Canada?
Yes.
Okay. And you decided not to. And you made that your own decision. You were able to do that. You followed through with that.
Yes.
And yet it sounds like you felt bad that they had talked about you. You felt like some untruths were said.
Yes. I really think things began to happen during that time, and I realized afterwards that yes, something was really going on. They would communicate together, and they were not communicating much with me. But then I could sense that a division was setting in because of my choices. Sometimes when parents want you to do something that you have no interest in, and you go against them, they begin to turn on you, and then they have their sibling to talk with. So she had her sibling to talk with pertaining to her daughter.
Okay, so I was just wondering how this was a significant time. I mean, you've gone. This is like decades ago.
Oh
right?
yes, it is. It is. It has been a few years, but then the problem is still there.
So, as we're working towards reconnecting with your aunt, and there's been a lot of time between the last time that you talked with her, maybe some feelings coming through with that too. I mean, I feel like you're still hurting through that.
I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, as I told you, my mother died, and when she died, it was so great that we were able to communicate. And I thought after the funeral that things would have worked out much better. At the funeral, she spoke with me a bit, and I figured definitely that she would have reached out to me a lot more. Because I forgave her about the things that she had said about me and how she dealt with me. But then right after that, after the funeral was over, everybody went to their homes. I still noticed that there's a problem.
You perceive that there's still a
There's
problem.
still a problem because we're not able to communicate. We still do not communicate much.
Okay. So the next time we get together, I was wondering if we could co-create some goals on maybe going through perceived hurt. I mean, things that are not working out, assumptions maybe, versus anything that you can pull together with facts. Just work things together so that we can make some steps that would be very healthy towards you communicating with her,
Yes.
so that you're building a bridge. Would that be good?
That would be good because I really want to do that. I need us to communicate effectively, where we can have an understanding about each other.
Yes.
What's in the past is in the past. We want to move on.
We want to move on. We want
Positive
that
ways.
healing.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure to be with you today. I really appreciate you opening up your heart in this way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.